What's up everybody, welcome back. So in today's video we're going to be taking the spice to another level because we're going to be featuring a perfect IV Shadow Crobat in the Master League Classic. Now unfortunately Crobat maxes out well below 3000 CP in the Master League at level 40, which is why it's not very highly ranked on PvPoke, but you definitely can't sleep on it because this thing has some pretty versatile coverage, right? It can actually break apart the Fighter Charmer cores and also has that one-shot potential with Shadow Ball against Metagross, and also Shadow Ball is going to do pretty hard neutral damage across the board, right? Because there are hardly any dark types and very few normal types in the meta. Shadow Ball is going to hit pretty hard across most of the top threats in the meta. And for this team comp, I'm going to be running it alongside Garchomp and Metagross. I'm going to be using Crobat as the save swap. And if you can win switch advantage with Crobat between Metagross and Garchomp, most of the top threats in the meta can be handled, right? So there's some really exciting battles in here, and let's just get straight into it. So we've met with the Walrein. I mean, this is the worst thing that you can see on the lead because this team is ABA weak to ice, but that's okay. I make a switch into the Crobat, and the reason is that Crobat is only single weak to ice, whereas Garchomp is double weak, and they switch out because they want to preserve their Walrein for my Garchomp there. So they come into their Excadrill, I bait with Poison Fang, which is huge, and now I'm going to be able to go for the Shadow Ball. I'm really hoping that we can land the Shadow Ball, and Shadow Ball one-shots the Excadrill, and Crobat is able to win switch advantage here, which is perfect because at this point, I can align my Metagross against their Walrein. I can just let this Icicle Spear go through, and I can just come in with my Metagross here. And the good thing about this matchup is that in the Master League, Earthquake will not one-shot, right? Especially a non-stab Earthquake from Walrein, which it doesn't really have the highest attack stat. We can comfortably tank that. And then they have a Metagross in the back. I can come in with my Garchomp, and then I can just go straight for the Earth Power here. This will one-shot the Metagross from this range, and this game is almost over right now because we've banked a Meteor Mash and an Earthquake on the Metagross, so this game is pretty much over. So I'm actually going to shield this because I need to get off this Earth Power to get their final shield so that I can land the Meteor Mash on the Walrein. Right? Unfortunately, it ends up being a third shield glitch because for my opponent, the Icicle Spear, my shield actually doesn't register and the damage doesn't register either, but it's okay. We had this game anyway. So we're going to go for the Meteor Mash here. This will be taking out the Walrein, and that's going to take the win for us there. So again, the Crobat coming in super clutch and being able to win switch advantage because switch advantage was absolutely critical to win that game. Once again, absolutely terrible lead against a Sylveon. The good thing is that we have two decent responses to Charmers, and they make a switch into their Garchomp. Now this is absolutely perfect. Once again, I'm going to actually bait with Poison Fang, hoping to get a shield. And typically the thing is that most times when you switch into their Crobat, they're going to actually bring out their ground type, which is good for Metagross, right? Because we were able to bait out the Garchomp and we land the Shadow Ball as well, which is huge. I'm definitely going to give up a shield right now because I want to win switch advantage. They go for the Fire Blast, that's some real spice right there. But anyways, we're going to be able to farm down, and then out comes Sylveon. Now, if Sylveon is their best response to a Crobat, I'm curious to see what they have at the back. They probably have a Fighter or something in the back, but I can just let this go through because between Metagross and Garchomp, you're going to be able to handle most things here. I'm going to come in with the Metagross and try and farm this thing down. They make a switch into their Metagross, and we can come in with Garchomp, and this game is not over yet because they have a shield advantage. So I'm going to go for the Earth Power here. The Earth Power does give the shield from Metagross, and trying to get to the next one right now. I'm definitely shielding this, right? I'm trying to get to two Earth Powers, but they actually go for the Earthquake, which is kind of surprising. They're probably trying to one-shot the Garchomp in case I didn't shield, but you definitely want to be going for Meteor Mash because that's a lot more energy efficient in a lot of these neutral situations, right? And now they're going to go for the Meteor Mash. That's okay because at this point, we have a full health Metagross, and their only win condition is to catch the Meteor Mash on the Sylveon. They failed the sack, and at this point, they decided top left there. So, and yeah, like I said, when you switch into the Crobat, you're going to typically bait out those ground types, which is really good for Metagross to sweep towards endgame. So we have Garchomp into a Magnezone. That is the dream lead here. And at this point, I'm going to try and catch the Outrage on my Metagross here. I thought this was going to be an Outrage, right? But it ends up being an Earthquake. That just one-shots the Metagross. That is absolutely terrible for me because at this point, we've lost switch advantage as well. And my Crobat is going to be aligned against their Magnezone, right? Which is not good at all. Going to come in with my Garchomp here and go straight for the Outrage. That luckily they let that go through, that one-shot set, and they have a Gyarados in the back. Now I somehow need to switch out of this matchup because I need to preserve the Garchomp for their Magnezone. Outrage connects for some big damage against this Gyarados, and I'm able to get to the Earth Power as well. So Garchomp going on an absolute rampage here, going for the Earth Power. Gets the shield from the Gyarados, And at this point, I'm just going to shield this up. I need to preserve the health on the Garchomp. Immediately switching to my Crobat. They're going to come into their Magnezone. I'm going to try and get to the Shadow Ball here. And I'm barely able to get to the Shadow Ball. I'm just going to go for the kill right now. This is going to do massive damage against this Magnezone. As you can see, it does about 70 to 80% there. And they're not going to be able to farm down. They have to throw a move. This has to be a wild charge. And it is a wild charge, luckily. And then I'm going to be able to come in with Garchomp and farm down, right? They're probably going to go for another move, which is okay. And they actually go for another wild charge. That's actually pretty smart play to make sure we don't farm down. And I know I can't get to 2 moves, so I'm just going to go for an aggressive, double-resisted Mud Shot farm down on this Gyarados. We're going to shield this up. Hopefully they don't get to another move, and Garchomp is able to Mud Shot farm it down there. So luckily I was able to recover from that huge mistake of basically sacking the Metagross. But we have a Glaceon on the lead. Absolutely terrible once again. This team is ABA weak to Ice. Charm lead is also okay because you have 2 decent responses, but Ice is absolutely terrible. So going for the, luckily we get the shield from the Poison Fang, which is great because I'm just going to let it go through and I'm just going to take shield advantage at this point. But because our switch timers are misaligned and they can switch out at any point, I'm going to have to wait out my switch clock. I'm going to come in with my Metagross, and like I said, my switch timer is not back up yet, so I'm basically stuck in this matchup against Swampert. I'm going to have to shield this up, and then hopefully I can catch the next Hydro Cannon on the Garchomp. I'm aggressively tapping the switch window. Luckily I'm able to get it in time. We're going to catch the Hydro Cannon here. It's going to do too much damage, still does a decent amount of neutral damage. And the Swampert is absolutely loaded. They're going to be firing off multiple Hydro Cannons here. And hopefully I can get to an Earth Power before they can get to another Hydro Cannon. Now, what's important to remember is that their switch timer is almost going to be up right now. And I'm still switched on to this matchup, right? We get the defense drop. They make a switch into their Glaceon. And I have energy on my Metagross, but I can't afford to throw, right? Especially because they still have 2 Pokemon in the back. I need that energy advantage to be able to take out whatever they have in the back. Unfortunately, we take the Icy Wind debuff. We're not going to be able to clear it as well. And they have a Heracross in the back. So that's a real spice pick again. Going for the Meteor Mash does massive damage in spite of being debuffed. And I'm going to overfarm as much as I can. Go for another Meteor Mash here. I was trying to overfarm just a little bit more, but we're taking a lot of counter damage there. And at this point, I'm going to have to shield this up. And it's a race between Earthquake and Hydro Cannon, because Meteor Mash will definitely not take out the Swampert from this range, especially because it's debuffed as well. And unfortunately, we fall just short of the Earthquake. We probably 1 Bullet Punch short there. And Swampert is going to be able to take the win. Like I said, Ice leads are pretty hard to recover from, right? So we have a Garchomp into a Gardevoir. The terrible leads continue. We immediately switch into the Crobat here. And they make a switch into their Charm Gallade. Now that is real spice. Shoutouts to my opponent there, but Charm Gallade is definitely not a counter to a Crobat because these air slashes are absolutely tearing through, right? Especially after the Poison Fang debuff. I'm going to shield this up. It's probably a Leaf Blade. It's double resisted, but we're taking quite a bit of damage from Charms there. I do have to shield that. I'm going to go straight for the Shadow Ball against this Gardevoir because this will one-shot if it doesn't get the shield. They actually do give up the shield, which is okay because at this point I can come in with my Metagross and farm this thing all the way down here. We're probably going to have to shield once because Shadow Ball is going to do super effective damage in this matchup. But I'm going to be able to farm all the way down. But they actually make a switch into their Machamp. I'm going to go into my Garchomp here. And I'm just going to go straight for the Outrage right now. Nothing Machamp has will one-shot the Garchomp. It is a dynamic punch which does quite a bit of damage. But I'm going to overfarm just a little bit. Go for the Outrage here. Outrage will easily knock out this Machamp. And then Gardevoir is going to be able to farm down. But they don't have enough energy for a Shadow Ball. And they decide to concede the match there. So moving into the next battle here, we have Garchomp into an Excadrill. This is something that you definitely want to see on the lead. And they make a switch into their Gyarados, and I'm going to go into my Garchomp. I'm actually going to go for the Outrage because we don't really have a solid response to a Gyarados. So I'm going to go for the Outrage and then switch to my Crobat here. And then I'm going to have to shield this because Crobat is extremely glassy. And hopefully I can farm this thing all the way down before they can get to another charge move. Luckily, I'm able to farm this thing down. I'm expecting the Excadrill to come back in. I'm going to go straight for the Shadow Ball here. This is going to do massive neutral damage or get the shield. It does get the shield, which is perfect as well. They're going to go for a move. It's going to be a Rock Slide. But then again, we have switch advantage, so I can align my Garchomp against this Excadrill, right? So I'm going to come back with Garchomp. They come in with their Conkeldurr. I'm going to go straight for the Outrage here. This is either going to get the shield or pretty much one-shot the Conkeldurr. It gets the shield. That's perfect. And at this point, I can come in with my Metagross. And I don't have to shield this because we can comfortably tank a Dynamic Punch. It's only neutral because of the Steel Psychic typing. And I'm going to go for the Meteor Mash here. This is still a little bit tricky because Excadrill can come back in and farm down, right? So I'm just going to try and get to a Meteor Mash here. And we're barely able to get to this Meteor Mash. Meteor Mash is going to do massive resisted damage against Excadrill. And it's going to put it into Mud Shot farm down range. But unfortunately, this Excadrill has 2 moves. So my only win condition here is if they accidentally go for the Rock Slide, which they do. That is huge because now I can just shield this up And they go for another Rock Slide. That's really surprising. They're probably not aware of Garchomp's typing because Drill Run is definitely, I mean, it's the same energy as Rock Slide, right? So you definitely want to be going for Drill Run in that matchup there. Definitely got a bit lucky. So we met with another Togekiss on the lead. I mean, another Charmer, I should say. This is absolutely terrible. Immediately switching into my Crobat, and we know this matchup, right? I'm going to bait with Poison Fang. I'm going to have to shield this up because Rock Slide would one-shot. And I'm going to overfarm as much as I can, and unfortunately they're able to get to a second Rock Slide. I absolutely have to shield this because switch advantage is everything in this matchup, right? So I'm going to overfarm quite a bit here, and I'm going to bait once again with Poison Fang, but this time they don't shield. This is absolutely terrible for me because I'm going to have to go for Shadow Ball. I'm really hoping they let this go through, and they let that through. It one-shots the Excadrill, which is huge, and they come in with their Garchomp, and at this point I'm going to go for the Poison Fang. I'm not going to be able to get to a Shadow Ball, so might as well go for the Poison Fang here. And my opponent lost track of the energy probably, and they end up shielding the Poison Fang, which is huge for me because we're able to at least get one shield back. But this is still not a great situation to be in because Garchomp has the potential to sweep this backline, right? Especially when they have a shield advantage. So gonna come in with my Garchomp. I know I can't get to an Outrage in time, so I'm just gonna go for the Earth Power to try and force a shield from them. And we get the shield from the Earth Power. It ends up being a CMP tie. So luckily we didn't go for the Outrage because again, Outrage is absolutely going to one-shot the Garchomp here. And at this point, my Metagross is in big trouble, right? If they're running Earth Power, this will one-shot. But luckily they're running Sand Tomb. So they're probably running Sand Tomb and Outrage, which is really good for me because that opens up a win condition. They try to catch the Medium Ash and Togekiss. Luckily we hold on to the energy. I'm going to build up to 2 Medium Ashes here. I'm going to go for the first one. That's going to take out the Togekiss. And the second one is going to be able to take out the Garchomp there. So Metagross coming in super clutch in spite of sort of, you know, having Garchomp with the shield advantage in the back because they were not running Earth Power. We were able to take that win there. So moving into the next game here, we have Garchomp into a Primarina. We're running into all sorts of Charmers right now. This is like the 4th Charmer that we're running into. But anyways, a terrible lead. Immediately switching to my Crobat, and they come in with their Metagross. Now Metagross is not such a hard counter for Crobat because we do have access to Shadow Ball. This is where I make a big mistake here. At this point, I should actually be going straight Shadow Ball, but I go for the Poison Fang once again here to hopefully get a shield, but they don't give up a shield. At this point, I'm going to have to go for the Shadow Ball. Hopefully this connects, but they shield that up correctly. So they're making all the right calls right now. And also Metagross is able to farm down for so much energy, and they are absolutely loaded. Gonna come in with my Garchomp and soak up whatever this is. Ends up being an Earthquake, does about 50% of Garchomp's health, and they aggressively switch into their Primarina and give up switch advantage. That is huge for me. That's a big misplay on their part because this opens up a win condition again. I don't have to shield this. This is just gonna be a Moonblast, and even though it's resisted, it does quite a bit of damage. And because Primarina takes only neutral damage, I can't really farm down with Bullet Punch. So I'm going to go for the Medium Ash here and then expecting the Metagross to come back in. And if the Metagross does come back in, I'm going to go for another Medium Ash. This Metagross is just about in Medium Ash range right now. It's almost in Medium Ash range. We do land that. And then at this point, they're going to go for their Medium Ash. That's absolutely okay for me as well, because I can come in with my Garchomp and farm this thing down, right? When they make an aggressive swap into that Excadrill, this is slightly tricky, but luckily we have a little bit of an energy lead. So I'm going to shield this up, and then hopefully I can get to 2 Earth Powers before they can get to the second Drill Run. I'm going to go for the first Earth Power right now. Gets the shield and gets the defense debuff, and we're able to get to the second Earth Power. This Earth Power absolutely destroy this Excadrill here, and Metagross is going to go down to Mud Shot there. So definitely, I mean, Garchomp again coming in clutch to basically recover from not being able to land the charge move correctly on Metagross. But anyways, moving into the next battle here, we have Garchomp into an Excadrill. They make a switch in their Sylveon. The fact that they aggressively switch tells me this is probably the double charm line, the Excadrill Sylveon Togekiss line. So I'm going to come in with my Metagross, and the reason I come in with my Metagross instead of Crobat is that Metagross can farm down completely, right? Whereas Crobat is going to have a hard time farming down. We're going to farm down so much that we have a lot of loaded energy, and Metagross with energy is really going to be able to force shields from the opponent. Then they come back with their Excadrill. They're almost for sure going to shield this, so I'm going to go for the Medium Ash bait, and at this point I'm going to go for the Earthquake right now. This Earthquake will either one-shot or get their second shield. At this point, we have switch advantage and a 2 shield advantage, and this game is almost over. So I can come in with my Garchomp. I do have to watch out for them trying to catch on their Togekiss. I'm going to let this Drill Run go through, and now they make a switch in their Togekiss. I can come in with my Crobat. Luckily, we have 2 decent responses to Charmers, and my line basically hard counters the Excadrill double charm line, right? It's perfectly aligned here, and then I'm going to go for the Poison Fang. At this point, I can farm this Togekiss all the way down. I do have to shield once, and hopefully they don't boost, and because they didn't boost, I should be able to farm all the way down here and come out of this matchup with the Shadow Ball, which I can get off on this Excadrill to put it into Mud Shot farm down range, but it doesn't really matter because we have an Earth Power loaded on Garchomp there. So it does quite a bit of damage, and also I'm able to get to a Poison Fang as well. This will not KO because it's triple resisted. They do survive that with like 1 HP, but I'm going to be able to come with Garchomp and go for the Earth Power. This is like overkill, right? Against a debuffed Excadrill, that's easily going to take it out there. So moving into the next battle here, we have Garchomp into a Gyarados. We'll have to wait and see. This is actually a Waterfall Gyarados. I don't really have a decent response to a Waterfall Gyarados. I'm forced to stay in. I'm going to go for the Outrage here. This is again going to do massive damage against this Garchomp, against this Gyarados, I should say. But anyways, they do shield that, which is unfortunate. I really want to land an Outrage because I want to get this Gyarados out of here. So I'm going to go for the second Outrage here. Let's see if they want to give up both shields in this matchup. And we actually land that. That does massive damage. I'm going to come in with my Crobat. I'm going to have to shield this, unfortunately. And we should be able to farm down here, right? But they make a switch in their Metagross. This is where, again, I make a huge mistake. Because they have only one shield, and because we have the energy lead, I should be going straight for the Shadow Ball, right? I think that was fairly obvious at this point, but for some reason I decide to bait with Poison Fang, and that ends up costing me here. This time they let that go through. I'm going to go for the Shadow Ball. I'm really hoping they let this go through. But yeah, of course they're going to shield that. They're going to be able to Bullet Punch down. We managed to recover once when I made this mistake the last time, but it's not always going to happen. I'm going to try and come in with my Metagross and try and switch in my Garchomp to catch the Earthquake, but they were smart. They decided to hold on to the energy, and I decided to top left there. So I mean, definitely a bit of a misplay. Could have easily sort of, I mean, we could have gone 4-0 in this set. Moving into the fifth battle of this final battle of the video here, we are met with the Machamp on the lead. I'm going to go for the Outrage. This will near one-shot the Machamp. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to get the Excellent because it was a bit of screen lag. But again, we can comfortably tank whatever this is. And they actually go for the Rock Slide. They're probably running Rock Slide and Payback. They make a switch in their Gardevoir, immediately going into my Metagross. And this is such a beautiful matchup, right? I do have to shield once because they're going to be able to get to a Shadow Ball. But then again, Metagross with energy advantages, we're going to be able to get those shields back, right? And let's see what they come in with. They actually come back with their Machamp. I'm going to be able to farm down, and my opponent decides to concede the match there. Again, Metagross with energy advantage. Not a lot of people would want to line up against a Metagross with that much of an energy lead. Like you can see, I did like a couple of sets of battles with this team and went 4-1 in both those sets. So this team was definitely a lot of fun and pretty strong as well as far as the Master League Premier Cup is concerned. And as you can see, I mean, these are actually some of the battles that I did for my dad's account. If you saw the username there, unfortunately, I don't have a Hundo Shadow Crobat. I do have a few Hundos, but still looking for my first Hundo Shadow there. So anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. If you do like this content, please leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already. And thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.